Mary Catherine Edwards was a respected teacher who in 1995 was living alone in Beaumont, Texas. At 31, she had a large circle of friends and a close-knit family, and she had just moved into a new townhouse. Edwards was last seen on the evening of Friday, January 13, 1995. She went home, walked her dog as she usually did in the evenings, and poured herself a glass of wine to sip while she called her boyfriend. It is believed that it was the last call she made. Her parents grew concerned the following day when she did not respond to phone calls. They went to her home to check on her welfare, and there, they found a horrific scene. The Houston Chronicle reported that the bathtub's shower curtain had been ripped down. Edwards was leaning over the tub with her head submerged in the water and her legs still out on the floor, according to the probable cause affidavit in the case. She had been sexually assaulted and killed. She had been handcuffed with her hands behind her back. An autopsy revealed over 36 injuries to her body consistent with a violent struggle, including finger-shaped bruises on her hips. In her bedroom, the covers had been ripped from her bed. For more than 25 years, the case remained unsolved. But authorities got a break, thanks to DNA evidence, and they have arrested a surprising suspect. Clayton Bernard Foreman, 61, of Franklin County, Ohio, has been charged with murder in Edwards' death. Sources stated that they both attended the same high school. Foreman and Edwards were casual friends. She was even a bridesmaid at the wedding of Foreman and his first wife. According to a probable cause affidavit obtained by KJAS-TV, DNA evidence taken in 1995 led police to Foreman. Classmates told Fox 29 that Foreman helped arrange class reunions in past years and was in attendance at the one in 2018, where he had organized the tributes to deceased classmates. They described him as a thoughtful person who they would have never suspected of committing such a horrible crime. According to a probable cause affidavit obtained by KJAS-TV, DNA evidence taken in 1995 led police to Foreman. In April 2020, investigators began using genetic genealogy to help find a suspect. They first found several distant cousins, which led them closer and closer to an arrest. Eventually, the DNA led them to Foreman. Last month, investigators in Ohio collected trash from Foreman's home. They say the DNA on those items matched DNA taken from Edwards' body. According to KJAS.com, the murder of Edwards was very similar to the 1981 rape of one of Foreman's former classmates. Foreman had met up with the woman while she was stranded at a gas station and offered her a ride. Instead of taking her home, he drove her to a secluded spot, held a knife to her throat, and tied her up with a belt before raping her in his car. In both cases, there was evidence that Foreman may have presented himself as law enforcement and used police tools. Foreman was taken into custody in Ohio. Authorities will extradite him to Texas to face murder charges. Rosemarie Moniz, 41, was found in a pool of blood on the bathroom floor on the morning of March 23, 2001, by her father, who had arrived to take her to a previously scheduled doctor's appointment. For 2 decades, Rosemarie Moniz's family wondered who her killer could be, not realizing that her alleged murderer was one of the pallbearers at her funeral. More than 20 years ago, a Massachusetts man served as a pallbearer at his half-sister's funeral, and now he has been charged with her murder. David Reed, 53, was arraigned on Friday on murder and armed robbery charges for the 2001 death of Rosemarie Moniz, a press release from the Bristol County District Attorney's Office states. Moniz's body was discovered when her father went to her New Bedford home to take her to a doctor's appointment. Instead, he found her deceased in a pool of blood on the bathroom floor. She had been bludgeoned to death with a fireplace poker, a conch shell and a cast iron kettle, the press release states. Her purse was emptied out on the floor and an undetermined amount of cash was stolen. The autopsy report described significant trauma to her head, including skull fractures, gaping lacerations and other injuries that resulted in bleeding from both ears, broken nasal bones, and a broken left cheekbone. She also suffered blunt trauma all over her body. Investigators believed that robbery was the motive, but there was no sign of forced entry into the home. For 2 decades her family suffered through the trauma of her horrific death and the pain of not knowing who committed this extremely violent attack on her, the district attorney's office stated in December, when Reed was initially arrested for that crime. Moniz's brother, Fred Cunha, told local outlet WJAR that, over the years, suspicion was cast over several people connected to the family, including even Moniz's own son. For the last 20 years, there's been a cloud hanging over my nephew's head, he said. He added that it turned out that the person carrying her coffin to the grave was the person that killed her. In September, Reed had also been indicted in connection with the 2003 attempted murder and robbery of Maribel Martinez Alegria. Reed was interviewed by state police in August of 2020, after which, he fled to Alabama, Quinn said, and over the next year, traveled to California, Hawaii, New York, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island, before being arrested in September at the Providence Rescue Mission shelter. Cold case unit investigators linked Reed to Moniz's killing using DNA evidence inside the conch shell at the scene. The detectives also found similarities between Moniz and Martinez Alegria's crime scenes, noting that, in both cases, the women were struck in the head with heavy deadly weapons, robbed and left for dead. On May 21, 1986, Shannon Rose Lloyd, 23, was sexually assaulted and strangled to death inside her bedroom in Garden Grove, according to the Orange County District Attorney's Office. The case went cold. Lloyd is remembered as a tomboy who loved horses and had an adventurous soul. It's hard for me to fathom how anyone could take another person's life like it was nothing and just discard them, Tom Lloyd, Shannon's older brother, said. In 2003, Lloyd's homicide was linked with the 1989 cold case homicide of Renee Cuevas. At 27 years old, her body was found on a road near the El Toro Marine Base in Irvine, on the morning of February 19, 1989. Cuevas' cousin, Yolanda Louie, said it was her dimples that she will never forget. If I could speak to her, tell her how sorry I am, I would make her laugh, so I could see her beautiful dimples, Louie told NBC4. The case, however, grew cold, but detectives refused to give up the search for the killer, until 2003, when the Orange County Crime Lab connected DNA from Lloyd's crime scene to DNA collected from another homicide that had occurred in Orange County in 1989. In 2021, the Orange County District Attorney's investigative genetic genealogy team identified a Las Vegas man named Reuben J. Smith as a possible suspect. The loved ones of Renee Cuevas and Shannon Lloyd have the answers to the question they have been asking for more than 3 decades, said Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer. The justice that every victim deserves was hidden away in DNA, but with advances in IgG technology, combined with the relentless dedication of generations of detectives and the talented prosecutors and forensic scientists at the district attorney's office, we now know who killed Renee and Shannon. Smith, who lived in Orange County in the 1980s, was forced to give his DNA in 1998 after being arrested in Las Vegas for sexual assault and attempting to kill another woman, investigators said. The evil in him. I know if I didn't fight, I was going to die, the surviving victim of the 1998 attack said in a news release. It was horrible. The things that he did, the things that he said. He told me he was going to kill me. Though she was able to fight him off and escape, she said she is still haunted by him. The DNA evidence from his arrest matched the DNA found at the crime scene of both Lloyd and Cuevas, officials said. 1 year later, Smith killed himself at 39 years old. We now know Reuben Smith was responsible for the deaths of Shannon Lloyd and Renee Cuevas, Garden Grove Police Chief Amir El Farah said. Make sure you subscribe, like, and click the bell icon to stay informed when we upload. Thank you.